Hey everyone, Deborah here. Weird little hiccup with the computer there for a second. All right, I am going to be talking tonight about what to do with a buckling, a baby male goat that is born that has only one testicle. The term for that is a cryptorchid. And so basically, baby goats should be born with two testicles descended. That is normal for goats. I know with some other species of mammals, that is not the case. They come down much later, months later. That is not the case with baby goats. They should be descended at birth. But so here's the thing. What do you do if you have a baby? Like, what are the repercussions if you have a kid that has just one testicle? And should you buy a pet like this? I'm actually doing this live stream because I got a message from somebody on Facebook who said that she was going to be picking up her babies this weekend and that one of them only has one testicle and can she band it later? And the answer is, well, yeah, you can band it, but it's not going to do any good. It's not castrated at that point. The other testicle is somewhere up inside the body. It could be anywhere between the scrotum and the kidneys because they start up at the kidneys. And then as the animal develops, it moves down and hopefully should be in the scrotum at the time of birth. And if it's not, they're not coming down, as I said already. And so to remove it, the goat will have to have abdominal surgery. And it's really sad that somebody is trying to sell her a goat like this because the surgery is usually pretty expensive. I mean, it's abdominal surgery, so they've got to knock the goat out. And it's an exploratory type surgery. It's not like, removing our appendix. Like every doctor knows where the appendix is. When an animal is a cryptorchid, you have no clue where that second testicle is. So we had a cat once that was a cryptorchid, and it wound up with an incision from all the way up to its rib. Like the vet just had to, and it was a really ugly incision. Like the vet just had to keep cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting. It turns out the second one was like so far up there that it took her quite a long time. So what I suggest, what I have always done, I've had two cryptorchids. And what I did in both cases is that I said that they would be free to anybody who wanted them. And I totally explained what they needed to do. And people would say, no, thank you, after they called the vet and got estimates on the price. So the first time we had a cryptorchid was probably like around 2005 or 6. And back then, the person said that the vet told them that the starting price in 2005 or 6 would have been $100, and it would go up from there depending on how long it took the vet to actually find that second testicle. And then other people I've heard it's always been several $100s. So it winds up being a really expensive pet. As I said to her in my response, a responsible breeder usually castrates animals for you. And if they're selling them to you as a wether, like if you're a serious breeder, you're not going to sell an intact animal at the price of a wether. And so, because the person could go and use them as a breeder, I know that's actually happened because someone in my area once, her husband had cancer and she sold all of her goats in a really big rush. And this woman was supposed to bring the males to me to castrate, and she never did. And actually contacted me there were multiple things she was supposed to bring the goats to me for, and just decided she wasn't going to castrate them after all. So she had a couple of intact bucks that she had bought along with the does from this lady. So anyway, if you're a serious breeder, like the cost of an intact buck is a lot more than the cost of a wether. So you don't want to sell somebody a, wether or an intact buck at the price of a wether. So anyway, bucks should be castrated before they're sold. And you can't do that with a cryptorchid because it's abdominal surgery. So that doesn't work. And then, so what happens, because she asked, like, well, can I just band the one testicle? And the answer is that if you do that, it's a waste of time and effort because the other one is still up in his abdomen. So he's still going to be producing testosterone. He's going to get stinky like a buck. He's going to pee on himself like a buck. He's going to act like a buck. And he could even get goats pregnant. In fact, it was interesting. In the 60s, they discovered that cryptorchidism is actually genetic. And so it's kind of crazy. Back before that study, people used to keep cryptorchids and use them for breeding. So anyway, they're quite capable of breeding. And even if you get rid of one testicle, there's still the other one. So you don't want to do that because it's not going to make a good pet. They're going to be stinky and pee on themselves. And if you have does, they could get your does pregnant. So they really do need to be castrated by a vet surgically because it's abdominal surgery. And so what actually happens to most cryptorchids wind up as meat because they're really not good for anything else. You don't want to keep breeding those genetics, and you don't want a stinky pet who's peeing on himself. So not sure what this lady's going to do who contacted me. She said she had a lot to think about now. So hopefully when you go, if you're goat shopping this spring and you want to buy a wether, do make sure that he is castrated and that everything's normal. So if you've got any questions about this, post in the comment section below. Bye for now.